Welcome back to the Pulse. Let's do more on May Day because May Day is here again with a focus on the important role played by workers in different sectors of the economy. As we observe the day to celebrate the role of workers, there are calls for an improvement in working conditions of workers, particularly those within the health sector, as agitation among mortuary workers to strike is imminent. Negotiation talks between government and mortuary workers is expected to continue tomorrow to get the workers back down their demands. General Secretary of the Mortuary Workers Association, Richard Jordan, says they will be forced to embark on a strike if their concerns are not addressed by tomorrow. He spoke earlier on JoyNews desk.
When the ruling came, we had a date with fair wages given us 19th and 20th to negotiate. Now, subsequently, the event turned around. They started dragging their feet.
When you say 19th?
Yes.
Of which month, please?
Of March.
Okay.
The ruling was done on the 7th of March, where we have to suspend the strike. Now, that same day, we had a meeting with the Honorable Minister of Employment and Labor and invited all the parties to that meeting. Now, the fair wages was tasked to tell us a date where this negotiation will have to take place. And they gave us 19th and 20th of March, in which then would have completed all negotiations. But the event started changing in a way. So we suspected that there is something pulling down. There's a foul play. And then consistently you see that one communication here, another inconsistency in the communication, 10 of events. So there's a need for us to press on that negotiation. They should implement that very ruling of National Labour Commission.
But you have met with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. You met with them some 2 days ago, you say?
Yes, some 2 days. That is after we declared the intention.
Okay, so what is happening to your intention now? If you've met with the Fair Wages and Salaries
What has happened is that when we met 2 days ago, we had a discussion. They have promised that at least they are now going to negotiate and that they are going to give us a roadmap.
Okay.
Yesterday, they communicated to us that Wednesday coming, they want to start the first negotiation meeting. What we expect is good faith. The idea is not to strive for Ghanaian people to suffer. It's for us to get solutions. So if they have just said it again, and you are all going to be witnesses, they are saying that Wednesday will start. In fact, they wanted Monday and Tuesday. Unfortunately, some of us will not be around, so we said okay, push it to Wednesday. So it's not the problem is no more the part of fair wages. We have given them Wednesday. We are expecting at least by tomorrow, the arrangement tomorrow, we should have an official communication from them to look at the roadmap officially in terms of documentation. The Wednesday we meet them.
Meanwhile, Head of Public Relations at Fair Wages and Salary Commission, El Ankara, says the concerns of the workers will be addressed.
I would like to say that Fair Wages is really concerned about their situation. Fair Wages takes everything they're saying very seriously, and we are committed to following the roadmap as we are planning it. I was listening to Richard as he spoke eloquently, and he was right. We are engaging them. The negotiations themselves have not started. What we are doing is preparing the ground. I know the issues they listed are in various forms, and Fair Wages will be handling the parts that are related to salary. So as Richard rightly and eloquently said, we're going to give the roadmap, the way forward in terms of the negotiations and all the concerns that they have raised. Every member of staff of Fair Wages and Salaries Commission will put their hands on deck to ensure that we resolve these issues successfully, not just for the workers the workers and Richard and his team, but for the entirety of Ghana.
Have you drawn that roadmap already, or you're yet to?
Yeah, normally there is a template that we use at the beginning of negotiations that everybody will have to agree on. But the point is, one party will not have to sit down to do it. We'll have to sit down with the other party. So Richard and his team will come come with us, and then together we agree on the roadmap, and then we start on it. Otherwise, it will be like an imposition, which is not right, and it's not good for the spirit of negotiation.
So what briefly, before you go, what should we expect? What should the mortuary workers expect?
No, this is the thing. By all means, we will bring a resolution to the issue. Expect nothing but the best. The important thing is, as Richard rightly said, we are still engaging, we are still talking, and we have to sit down together around the table to bring the issue to a good settlement. One party cannot decide, and we have to hear from the other side. We all have to agree, all to the benefit and to the well-being of the workers.
Permit me to ask this. I know I said finally. Do you have any timelines?
The best timeline is the fastest timeline. Nobody wants anything to drag. If you could sit down in a day, in an hour, and conclude, that's the best for everyone. But one party cannot decide that. We have to sit down and look at the conduct of the situation on board. If it is something that we can conclude in a sitting, no problem. If it's something that will require some technical work, because there are different categories of staff, so you have to look into the technicalities of it. There are different issues of their job that will have to be looked into, and then with salary administration, if you touch one particular corner and you don't relate it carefully, you may distort everything. So those petty technicalities will have to be dealt with. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. The earliest possible solution is the best. Time is money, and every minute counts. So it is in our interest that we deal with this as fast as possible and to the benefit of the workers.
Let's also hear from the Minority Leader Haruna Iddrisu, who wants the government to pay attention to the concerns of health workers, especially mortuary workers.
Health safety bill, which provides good working environment for workers, have not been passed. Occupational health and safety bill is sitting somewhere, and you say you are dedicating and solidarizing with workers. The best you can do for them is to get the occupational health and safety bill also passed. But Mr. Speaker, I think we should thank them for the peace in the country, the sanity in our labor environment. They've been very, very cooperative. In fact, between 2014, 2015, 2016, I had my best experience as Minister of Employment, working with them and trying to understand some of the issues. Mr. Speaker, I will end on a note which will raise a sense of humor. One day, I was passing through Kolebu Mortuary when mortuary men threatened to embark on strike action. And Mr. Speaker, mortuary men, when they go on strike, is bad. What they do, they allow bodies to decompose on the floors. So I went in to intervene to help them manage it. So one of the workers, without even thinking that I could understand Tree, said, I'm sorry, I won't use those words, Mr. Speaker. Is that you, Haruna? You think you cannot, Mr. Speaker? I won't use that word on myself. Then, Mr. Speaker, I'm ending on that note. The man then took his hand into his pocket and brought his pay slip and said, oh Haruna, Ebola body I carry, AIDS body I carry, look at my pay. It was to draw my attention to his plight as a poor worker. The Speaker, we need to do something about it, including the Ghana Medical Association workers who want improved conditions of service. We've seen trend. And Mr. Speaker, arguably, even the parliamentary service that you are seeking to improve with revised conditions of service, we have to make it an essential service provider so that tomorrow they too will not say they are going on strike and we can approve budget and then the nation will be in crisis. To the medical and health workers, even as we appeal to them, they have seen some letters from the GMA issuing threat. Government must do well to implement the codified conditions of service and what they agree with them. So to our workers, we say, Aiko.